Hey, I'm Curlyfries, an indie game dev, and welcome to another mini development showcase where I show you my method of developing a game mechanic for my current project. Today's mechanic is going to be a continuation from last video where I successfully implemented aiming and shooting for Project Eat the Rich. Also a continuation of building a cover system, which was the first video I made to kick off this series. Before I get to it, I highly recommend you watch those two videos as a refresher, because now I'm going to combine both mechanics to implement. If you've been following this series, you can probably tell things are going to be a little different as I'm already breaking my usual video structure. No project explanation, no design discussion, no how should it work, and no breaking it down. Screw it, let's just dive right in. To begin, I download various armed in-cover animations from Mixamo and edit them in Reallusion's iClone 7. Then I open my Eat the Rich Unity HDRP project and import them. In the player's animator on the cover layer within the high cover and armed sub-state machine, I add an aim state with transitions between the move blends which depend on the value of the aiming ball and speed float. I begin working on aiming from high cover because I know it's going to require more work than aiming from low cover. With my current code, I do a quick test to see what aiming from high cover currently looks like and to get a better understanding of what I must do. This is definitely not the desired result, but now I know what I must do to fix it. Firstly, I must move Mars slightly out of cover when aiming from a high cover corner. Secondly, switch the camera side depending on which corner Mars is aiming from. And lastly, clamp the camera's rotation while aiming from cover. Before I get to all that, I must add logic to determine when aiming from cover is allowed. My project now implements the state pattern. So my cover system code is now split across 3 scripts: player enter cover state, player cover state, and player exit cover state. The code is still the same from my cover system video, except it has been refactored across these 3 classes. I create aim method in my player cover state. It sets a ball called trigger aim to true if the aim button is held and the player is armed and can aim is true. Can aim is always true while in low cover. However, it's only true in high cover when the player is at a corner. When trigger aim is true, the aim controller script is enabled to allow aiming. I call aim in the player cover state update state method, which is called every frame if it's the current state. To aid in moving the player out of high cover, I install a package called DoTween from the Unity Asset Store. It's an extremely useful animation engine. The method I'll be using from DoTween is transform DoMove, which takes a vector-free destination and duration as arguments. Therefore, I must calculate the destination to move the player to when aiming from high cover. Inside the aim controller, I create a shoot from high cover setup method that takes a direction and in high cover ball. I set this variable to be the player's position plus the direction times an offset, which will be set in the inspector. The shoot from high cover pause holds the destination for the DoTween's DoMove method. However, the pop-out should only occur if in high cover is true, so it stores this value in aiming from high cover ball. Next, I create a pop out and shoot method which sets the ball popped out to true to denote that the pop out has occurred. It sets the high corner return pause to the player's current position. This variable will be the destination for when the player stops aiming and pops back into cover. Lastly, I call DoTween's transform DoMove to move the player to the shoot from high cover pause in 0.25 seconds. This logic only executes if the player is in high cover. I call this method in on enable, and in on disable I pop the player back into cover by calling DoMove but passing a high cover return pause as the destination. This only occurs if the player is in high cover and already popped out. Back in the player cover state in the aim method, I call shoot from high cover setup and pass the in cover prohibited direction as the first argument because the band movement direction indicates which direction the player should be moved to aim. I test and the pop out works, however the pop back in doesn't. This is because when Mars is popped out of cover, his high cover detective raycast that detects if he's in high cover returns false due to it not hitting anything, and the pop back in code only executes when high cover is true. Therefore, I need to set high cover to be true when Mars is shooting from high cover. In the aim controller, I make a quick getter that returns the value of aiming from high cover. This value could still be true when the script is disabled. So I add enabled as part of the condition because this script is only enabled when aiming. Then back in player cover state, inside the set cover type method, I add to the else section where the high cover detected raycast doesn't hit. If the player is aiming from high cover, set in high cover to true, else false. Additionally, I wrap in cover move in a conditional. Only execute when not aiming from high cover, as the player shouldn't be able to move when popped out and shooting from high cover. Another feature I want to add is when the player exit cover while aiming, the normal exit cover animation shouldn't play and they should remain in aim mode. Inside my player exit cover state, in enter state, I add this. If the aim controller is enabled, immediately switch to default state. Reset the cover layer weight, set the exit cover trigger in animator, then return. Therefore, in the animator, add a transition from the aim state to the cover layer's default state and add the condition of exit cover. However, there's a problem of the pop back in animation still occurring once aiming is exited. To fix this, I call the setup method and pass false as the in high cover argument, as the pop back in animation only occurs if popped out and in high cover are true. Now I must fix the cameras as it's on the wrong side. As I want the view to be slightly different while aiming from high cover, I'm simply going to add more aim cameras. I duplicate my main aim camera twice. Rename one to high cover aim cam left and the other high cover aim cam right. I move the reticle to be a child of the aim camera's header rather than a child of the main aim cam. I modify the left camera size, shoulder offset, field of view and distance to get my desired view. Then I copy the values and paste it on the right camera but flip the side to the opposite value. Now I must determine which aim camera to activate depending on the current cover's type and corner the player is at. In the cover state, I define a new ball at right corner. I set this in the in cover restrictor method. When the left cover detector doesn't hit, at right corner is false. When it hits, it's true. I update the shoot from high cover setup method to take this new ball as an argument and store it in aim from right. I define a new method in the aim controller, activate aim cam, which has a ball parameter of enable. The main right and left aim cam activate or deactivate dependent on the values of the past arguments. Enable, aim from right and aiming from high cover. I replace where I activate the main aim camera in on enable and on disable with this new method passing the relevant argument. I also call the method an update as it's possible that the enabled aim camera must be switched from my high cover aim cam to the main aim cam while aiming. After some testing, I noticed the main aim camera was not enabled after exiting aiming because aiming from high cover was still true while out of cover. In player exit cover states exit state method, I call the setup method and reset the ball arguments to false. Now to clamp the camera rotation. This is my current camera rotation method. At the bottom it clamps the camera values for the X and Y rotation. I'm only interested in clamping the Y. I add two new arguments to the method, left clamp and right clamp, and pass those arguments into clamp angle method. In the aim controller, I define new variables to define the allowed angle chain while aiming from low and high cover. I set these values to be 45 and 80 in the inspector and create getter methods to return these values. In cover states, late update state, I change it to this. When not aiming, these arguments are passed so the camera's Y rotation is unclamped. But when aiming, a left and right clamp are set and are passed as arguments into camera rotation. The left clamp subtracts the cover angle change from the player's current Y rotation, whereas the right clamp adds to it. While in cover, the player's rotation doesn't change, therefore the clamps are constant based on the player's current rotation and should work the same at any cover's corner. Time to bring in the low cover armed animations and test that everything still works from low cover. As the player can move while aiming in low cover but only on one axis, I make its aim state a 1D blend tree. Without any addition to the code, it works. Brilliant, except the animations are weird. The animator needs more transitions. I add more transitions and update the transitions on my current transitions. I transition low cover armed aim state to high cover armed aim state and vice versa. Low cover armed aim to high cover armed move right and left blend, but not the reverse because the player cannot move while shooting from high cover. After around 6 hours and 7 minutes of designing, developing, cover shooting, this is the result. Awesome! And that's shooting from cover. But let's talk improvements. Firstly, obviously I know I must fix this blatant problem with this face fry idle in cover animation, but I'll fix it later down the road, once the game is out of the prototype phase. Today I decided to try a different video structure and assumed most people watching would be returning viewers. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you prefer just diving right in, or do you enjoy watching how I break down the mechanic beforehand by discussing why and how I'm implementing it? So, on that note, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. If you like what I'm doing here or have any questions, feedback, suggestions, make sure to join my Discord and I'll definitely get back to you. The link is here and in the description. You also get the chance to vote on what videos you want to see, project sneak peeks, and the chance to speak to me whenever you want. Alright. Take care of yourselves and have a super day. Curlyfries logging out.